What's going on, everybody? Um, Jason V. Sareve, AXIOM TV, reporting live from the War Room. Um, Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to some special contributors to this effort, the effort of bringing humanity to equilibrium. I want to shout out my boy Skiz, um, my boy Dan, my boy. I want to shout out my boy A Mind. I want to shout out Jess. I don't want to say her last name. She's a professional, so don't want to mess up her with her employment right now. Um, on the subject of Colin Kaepernick, the flag, and President Trump, I noticed in a lot of videos, when I'm referring to President Trump, I say Donald Trump instead, and that's disrespectful because the man has I supposedly earned, if you will, the title of president. So I should refer to him as such. Let me blow off some dust off the laptop. This is what my issue is. When I in school, right? In school, all through school, I graduated high school. I went to like one semester of college, but all through school, as far as I understand it, and you just heard my level of formal education. From what I was taught was intelligence. And same thing with you. From what we were taught is intelligence in school. And you look at our way of life in this country, in free society, period, overall. It doesn't matter if it's England, France, the United States, wherever claims that they have democracy or free society, Western society. If you look around at it, though we speak of high ideals and we say that we're always striving for those high ideals, the facts show that this is propaganda, false, and a flat out lie. In reality, what I see and I'm sure that's what you live, what we all live in Western society, is an illusion. It's illusory at best. And I'm not just saying that as a black person. If you're middle class or poor and white, you're getting the poop end of the stick as well. It's not just the Hispanics in the country, or excuse me, the Latinos in the country, or the blacks in the country. It's the whites as well, poor whites as well, and that's been since day one. Poor whites have never gotten the same rights or privileges as the rich in this country. The only difference between poor whites and poor blacks is that poor blacks seem to not just go along with it, while poor whites seem to just have accepted defeat and just take it and go with it. It's almost traditional in a way. Because if you look at European history, you can see the same thing. Maybe in places such as Russia, I want to call them the Octoberists, which was violent revolution. I don't advocate violent revolution. Or during, is it the 1820 period, 1820s period, there was just mass revolution sweeping Europe. And I want to say in the 1800s area, in general, 1800s area, early 1800s, um, to make sure I don't mess that up. Forgive me if I make a couple of clerical errors or grammatical errors. If you could just focus on the main theme of what I'm trying to say, we'll be fine. Because I am human after all. I will make mistakes. And I'm doing this off the cuff right now. Especially this video right now is off the cuff. Straight improv. Um Now that moving along. I don't see intelligence. At the highest levels of adulthood, which is politics, I don't see intelligence. First off, everywhere I go in this country, you see flags everywhere, as if people have forgotten what country they're in. The fact that we all exist as symbols, and does not surprise me that symbolism can be used to control us. Because life is about frequencies, vibrations, um, waves, signals, and symbols, signs. And we have senses to detect these signs and symbols. So to me, life's a communication fundamentally. But we'll get to that on another video. When it comes to the flag, the United States flag or any flag, because to me, I'm all flags down. Ground all flags. Ground all flags. Like, we're human beings. We're a cerebral being. We're not lions with girth and strong teeth. We're not birds with wings, birds of prey with wings. Though we favor putting animals as our, lower minded animals as our symbols to try to sow intimidation, such as how we employ the eagle and Russia employs the bear. Um, we're not lower minded creatures. Those creatures, and not to disparage those creatures because they're talented and gifted and special in their own way. But when it comes to the animal of human being, the human being is a designated cerebral creature. You are one, if you can understand my words. Um, so you should be able to realize that your special gift in life is in your mind before you can do anything. For those who say, "Oh, well, I'm not a real smart person," even before you commit any action, before you do any action, you have to first think about it. It all starts from your mind. So we start first as a cerebral being. We have an ability to think at a level that other creatures can't, and the bodies to express that thought, which is how we've built all the technologies that we've had, the amazing technology that we've built that coincidentally many of them mirror the abilities of other creatures, the lower minded creatures, all the lower minded creatures. Now, when it comes to the flag, it's almost like the end of a necklace, the pendant on a necklace that a hypnotist is holding in front of you and just going side by side. And those who say, "Oh, I love the flag, I this for the flag," they are just following along like mindless wildebeests. Even if we go to soldiers who seem to be the ones who hold the flag most dearest more than any of us. Soldiers are programmed, conditioned to love the flag with the intensity that they do. Soldiers are conditioned to defend the flag itself, that symbol, by any means necessary. And not necessarily the ideals of the flag, not necessarily the ideals that we claim that the flag represents, because you can see from, is Libya being treated with the ideals that we say that we hold, freedom, justice, and equality? Is Iraq, did we liberate them like that? When our caravans first rolled in there to get Saddam, and the streets were lined with Iraqis holding signs and celebrating as if we just won the championship, the NFL championship or something, or the NBA championship, or the Stanley Cup. Um, were How about the people in um, Afghanistan? Are they any better off now that we're there? So, if we were to answer those questions honestly, we would see that at the highest level of adulthood, what we've got going on is not only fraud. We've got going on is not false advertising, market manipulation, um, inflation of I want to say inflation of just a false narrative. Let's go with a false narrative. We're not being honest. First, we're not being honest to ourselves, which makes it very easy for the advertisers and the pundits and the politicians to lie to us. Because we're, first of all, not being honest to ourselves. First, we're taught to lie to ourselves constantly. I've never understood this. Like, I was raised in a very religious home. So, and you gotta excuse the hoodie. It's I got a sinus. I woke up with a sinus headache today behind this cheek. So, and I got my hair low, so it's a little, to me, it's just chilly. Regardless, I'm just a skinny dude, so I think it's skinny. I feel in skinny, but so I'm a little chilly. But when I think of the highest levels of adulthood, from when I was coming up, um, I was thinking that life and the system would be a lot more intelligent than the nonsense that was going on in high school or middle school. But if you really look at society, including the president and the Congress and the governors and the mayors and the business leaders and the religious leaders and all the authority figures within society and the system that they promote and enforce and administer, it's an extension it's a carryover from middle school and high school. There is no different. There's no difference really. There's a lot of pouting. There's a lot of tantrum throwing, a lot of foot stomping, a lot of a lot of sneering, a lot of mean stares. It's like, I don't know how we can, as intelligent beings, just because we want to believe something, we just go along and just say, oh, well, this has to be intelligence. This is what intelligence looks like. Or we'll come up with some excuse of, well, this is the best we can do, or there's nothing we can do about it. That to me doesn't sound intelligent. That doesn't sound like the high level thinkers that we are born. Instead, it sounds to me like we've become a species of parrots. Whatever the pirate tells the parrots to do or say, or whatever the pirates say, that pirate's parrots just repeats it. Doesn't think, doesn't question, doesn't wonder, though it has those abilities. And that's what we've become. All I hear from the pundits on TV, from the people on the right, to the people on the left, are people just parroting. No one bothers to consider the fact that maybe the fact that a government has to use symbolism to manipulate its population into liking it, into being loyal to it, that maybe there's something fundamentally wrong with that. But no, you'll hear from a lot of them with the excuse of, well, you need a sense of country. You need, it's about being loyal to your country and your fellow countrymen. I've already expressed in another video that most Americans who own guns do so not because they expect an invasion from a foreign entity. They do so because they expect to kill another American or shoot another American. That's the fact of the situation. So when we talk about this patriotism and this love for flag, indeed what we're talking about is the love for a piece of cloth rather than another human being. It's not even the members of the military know when they are on missions that their job is simply to follow orders. Their job is not to question. So for a military person who advocates the concept of patriotism to come on television, I think I saw a video about the NRA, from the NRA, where they're talking about honoring the flag and why people need to stand for the flag. And who do they use? A United States Navy SEAL. Wow. Like, talk about manipulation 101. Manipulation 101. And why do people, let's not forget why people use manipulation in the first place. Why do people use manipulation? We've all done it. So why do we use manipulation? It's for the simple action of control. We are seeking control when we employ or deploy manipulation tactics. That's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to control, and not just the narrative, because if you control the narrative, then you control a person's actions. Remember, the narrative is what's going on up here and what you say what comes out of your mouth. That's the theme. And what comes first before your actions? The thought. So if they can control the narrative, they can control your thought, and then they control your actions, which it seems is what's going on with many whites in this country, or even around the Western world, because they say that it's said that the flag issue is split down racial lines. Listen, you love being tyrannical. Let's be real. Colin Kaepernick is kneeling down, and your real issue with that, and if we're being honest, if we can be honest, anybody adult here to be honest, here, I'll take my glasses off to make this, let's make this a fully, so we can see in each other's eyes. If we're being honest, your issue with Colin Kaepernick is because for the poor whites, it's like you're mad at him for not being like you. Why can't you just shut up and take being oppressed and just go along with it? Accept these fancy little gadgets like the smartphones that they give us in the video games or what have you, or online shopping, and just go with it. This is a great life. You get an automobile where you get to switch it around and add to the waste and the destruction of the very planet that you live on. Why don't you just go with that? Don't you see it's awesome? So what if they're lying to us? So what if it's all, so what if we're in a delusion? Let's just go with it. The delusion of that we live by freedom, equality, and justice, when really we live by control, privilege, and injustice. That should be what that flag, that's what that flag really represents. What are the actions? Remember, what did they tell us coming up? Talk is cheap. Actions are what matter. And if you consider what the actions of the United States, I know in my 40 years of living, what I've seen, it reminds me of the Imperial fleet on Star Wars. It reminds me of the city of Babylon that we talk about or that we read about in the Bible when we're coming up. It reminds me of 1984, the book that we read in high school. It actually makes no sense to me. Why be a tyranny and pretend that you're not? I can never understand it, but it does make sense if you're looking at it from a manipulating standpoint. Um, if you can create what we call here plausible deniability, there is a seed of doubt that you plant in someone that's considering what's going on in his mind. So that's what is always being done to us. They're always planting a seed of doubt. And the first seed of doubt that they plant is that flag. That's the first seed of doubt that's planted in our minds as citizens, as members of the population. They are, and this is everywhere. That's why you have these national anthems. That's why you have pledges of allegiance. That's why you have symbols such as the flag, the cloth. As long as someone is wearing that, you will accept abuse, no matter if they steal all the money on Wall Street, no matter if they burn down a cult, what they claim was a cult, and there was children in there. No matter what this government does, you will accept it. There will be no level that it will go that you will deem too tyrannical. Because I heard Tom Ritchie discuss the Tom Ritchie. Check out his channel. He covers philosophy, European history, just history period, and he tells it from and he speaks it and shares it from an objective point of view. Um, the man is awesome. His channel is awesome. Subscribe to it and listen to some of it. But I was watching a Tom Ritchie video. It's one of my habits, and he was talking about what it takes for a country to revolt. And I was thinking, while he was saying it, he stated something about, well, he listed some of the top things going on today. This is before the whole NFL, the recent NFL taking a knee in a large part. But he was speaking about other things, and he was saying how come we haven't revolted here. Well, he said that we haven't reached that point yet. And then I was thinking to myself, well, what point is that? And that's when it hit me. As long as you are constantly feeding people the flag, the symbol of the flag, symbolism. Remember, this is what the Nazis did. This is what the Nazis did to the population of Germany, which is why Germans were tacitly complicit and silent while the Nazis went about carrying out their atrocities. Incidentally, they just happened to be also Caucasians. But this is what I'm saying. It's a constant game of manipulation 101. And for some reason, I swore and I believe this coming up, because I saw all the grandeur and decadence and wonder that Western culture offered and technology. And I was thinking to myself, man, maybe they are mentally superior. Maybe they are intellectually superior. Maybe they do know what they're doing. So they should rule. But now that I've become a sophisticated enough adult and I've come to a sense of knowledge, sense of objective knowledge, what will eventually be common knowledge, because that's what my channel is about, trying to bring us all to the level of genius we were born to be, because we're all capable of it, unlike society tells you that so we're just a herd of beasts that need control, or tries to imply to you. You know what? Going back to symbolism real quick, all of life experience is innuendo. Signs, symbols, vibrations, waves, frequencies, etc. But coming back now to this, the symbolism we're talking about now. You cannot call yourselves intelligent if you're not going to demonstrate it. Intelligence is not a noun. Intelligence is fundamentally a verb. It's an action. It's a demonstration. Same thing with genius. Or if we're going to equate the two, it's an act. It's an action. No longer can human beings, in general, whether you're white, black, Chinese, whatever you are, allow our leaders or the majorities, whoever's in charge, to pull the wool over our eyes, if you will speak, if so to speak. But to be more plain with it, use propaganda or propagandize our life experience in order to effectuate unnecessary control, simply to bolster and buttress the wants and desires of the rich, of the wealthy. Forget the rich, the wealthy. These people, simply because they want power, they want to control everything. They want more private jets, more mansions. It'll never be enough for them. Remember, they're already wealthy, and yet they still every year are trying to gain more and more wealth. When do the rest of us get a chance for financial mobility then? If the top people financially are always trying to scoop in bigger amounts every year. Is money unlimited? Because it is not. Money is not unlimited. The Fed can try to promote this. We can come up with these concepts of the Fed just prints money, but that doesn't mean that money has any value. That's the reason why it's lost. The U.S. dollar has lost so much of its value since the institution of the Federal Reserves back in the early 1900s. Like, society is stupid. It's non-intellectual. It's counterintuitive. It's nonsensical. And I want to know if I'm wrong. I would love to know, am I going crazy? Am I going insane? Or am I right here? Because from what I see, everyone is living in a delusion. Whether you're white, black, our beliefs are simply just that. They're beliefs. No one seems to be, and just call me crazy, it just seems to me that an intelligent species, one that has been put here to think, should be in pursuit of truth and not manipulation or delusion. Like, I'm sorry, but if we want to call freedom and Western values the being able to have the right to confound, confuse, and destroy, while simultaneously being able to sell us words of freedom, values, higher-minded values, equality and justice, not only do you not deserve control of the masses, you need to be, you should be in a special class that doesn't say college prep on it. You know what I mean? Like, you should be in a remedial class. You're remedial. This is a remedial society. We're in a remedial form of government. This is now, and I'm willing to, I myself am looking for a live stream of anyone who defends these things. I wish to engage and prove who is, because I wish to demonstrate to see who is really intelligent here. Who is really intelligent here? Enough hiding behind guns, enough hiding behind tough cowboy talk and cliches. Where is the substance behind it? And that is what I'm challenging right now. If you claim that white intelligence is so superior, back this stuff up. Back Western values up. Back patriotism up. Back the need up for a Pledge of Allegiance. Back the need for a national anthem. Back the need up for human beings. The highest level of thinking creature, proven. We've demonstrated that by our technologies that we've created. Back it up with knowledge, facts, and reason against I, Jason V. Cereba, humble layman, coming right up off the street and saying, hey, polite society, hey, Ivy League, hey, you people with your masters and your doctorates, hey, you patriots, hey, you politicians, hey, you capitalists, and so on and so forth. Back what you're saying up with knowledge, facts, and reasons. Enough using the poor as your scapegoats. Enough using the black as your scapegoats. Enough calling yourselves elite. When are you going to demonstrate? Care to demonstrate it in front of the world? Who is really telling the truth here? Because I'm willing to bet that if these people want to base what they're saying on fundamentally intelligence and being intellectual, I will not let you down. That is my guarantee. I will not let the people down. I've taken too long a time to study this. These people are all pretending to be smart. They're telling us that they're smart because they hide behind doctorates and these papers, these certifications. But hello, we don't need certification to think. We don't need certification to observe. We don't need certification and licensure to ponder, to question, to be curious. Nature gave us that. The government doesn't give anyone the right to free speech. Nature gave you a voice box. Nature gave you vocal cords. So the very fact that they're trying to deny Colin Kaepernick his free speech, and the fact that they got a mass of parrots to mimic what the pirates are saying, proves and demonstrates how counterintuitive and nonsensical and unintelligent Western society, Western values, and Western culture really is. The gauntlet is dropped. Any of you so-called intellects, here I am, a regular man from the street, a regular person from the street, excuse me, because I've gotten a lot of help from a lot of regular females on the street and regular males on the street on this matter. They didn't even realize it. But I see intelligence in everyone, and I am tired of a system based on exploitation. Basically, they are farming us to lead us to slaughter. And if no one wants to stop and think, then yes, the Pied Piper will continue to lead us to slaughter. Well, I guess I'll be the black sheep of the family. But does anyone care to challenge the mental ability of the black sheep when it comes to what you believe each and every day and convince your kids that is true when you know that it's false? And that's the point here. That is the point here. I want you to see ahead of time before you even, because I already know what your answer is going to be. Of course, none of you are going to come see me on a live stream because you know already. Just from my words, you already know it's not going to go well for you. Not if we're going on a mental challenge. Not if we're basing it on honesty and intellect. It's not going to go well for you. But if we're basing it on emotion, manipulation, control, delusion, oh, that's all you. No doubt about that. I can see that all day. If we're going on violent superiority, that's you. You got that. I'm not tough like you. Actually, you're not even tough at all. You got to practice. Let me tell you why you're not tough. Mike Tyson, the baddest man, you remember him, right? He had to train to be that. Navy SEALs, the toughest of the tough in the military, guess what they had to do in order to become that? They had to train. And even then, when nature strikes, none of their training can help them. The government to you seems to be the number one thing in life. But as I started out this broadcast with, frequencies, vibrations, signals, symbolism, etc., and our senses that are set up to detect them. This is a communication from a higher level, from nature itself, between nature and ourselves. It doesn't strike anyone strange that nature birthed us to be curious about it. That doesn't strike anyone strange. Yet life has no purpose. Life has no meaning. You see what I mean? Like, we haven't even to even promote capitalism we actually say to ourselves that there is not a moral foundation. We question, is there a moral foundation? When, if you look at how would ants be a social species? How would any social species be considered a social species if there wasn't already a moral foundation in existence for them? Do you see what I'm saying? It's simple questions. We don't have to go to any big pretentious college words, but I invite you to bring them because I know those too. So bring those words of yours, and I'll bring the objective truth. Bring those profound concepts of yours, and I'll bring the objective truth. That's all I'm armed with. I brought a bag full of objective truth to shoot riders off their horse. That's all I'm going to do. So please, if you are tired, like I am, of being confused as to what life is about, of being confused by a media that it is in their interest, their financial interest, to feed you propaganda, of being frustrated and overwhelmed and feeling insecure about work and how life goes. Enough of chaotic society already. And I'm not saying that after we move on from these set of problems that we currently face, which the main ones are patriotism, but religion also plays in these, and the economic system. All of those follow from the same one rubric of control, privilege, and exploitation. They all follow from the same thing. But remember, it's not only the government conspiring against us. For the government to conspire against us, the fact is, nature has to allow it. So this is bigger than the government. But in order to solve this problem, because that's what life experience is, it's a solve for X mathematical problem. We have to first learn and decipher, figure out the rules to this challenge that we're in, called life experience, the rules to this construct that we're in. And that is the reason why I've realized, through realization, rationalization and realization, I've come to the conclusion that our society is nonsensical, and that all these so-called intellects and intelligentsia are playing that role, and they really can't defend it. That is why I feel so confident. Just like Socrates with his used to go around in Athens. That's what I consider myself right now. I'm like Socrates in Athens. I am willing to question and challenge these so-called prevailing and dominant concepts and ideas that control and manipulate our society. If they are truly intelligent, then you should be able to support them in facts, knowledge, and reason. On live stream in front of everyone to see. Let's see if you can keep that let's see if you can keep your eye up in real time. Have a nice day. Oh, like, share this video, subscribe to AXIOM TV. The only transmission in the world currently pushing, pursuing, trafficking, and dealing in objective truth. And that means truth for all. Enjoy your day.